cute little session of cricket that was for India here. We thought that England would show up and get their 3 wickets and be batting again. Hanuma Vihari and Ravindra Jadeja have shown some resilience, which means the deficit is now under 166 runs and a wicket in that session of play. To have a look at how things went, Ajit Agarkar and Monty Panesar on ESPN Cricinfo match day. Seems like in this series, whenever one team is on top, the other captain is generous enough.
Yeah, they just don't want to dominate. Yeah. No, I think it's probably, this test match looks like the first session is the best session to bat. For whatever reasons, all 3 days, bowlers have found it difficult to get people out. You've got to give a lot of credit to the way Jadeja and Vihari played. Just the resilience, like you said, application. I think it's a lesson for some of the more experienced batsmen in that lineup. What happens when the ball's a little bit older, bowlers are a bit tired. Even though there was swing, the approach was just brilliant, and there were enough runs or enough chances to rotate strike. Yeah, and again, just like Virat Kohli, somehow Joe Root and Virat Kohli at the moment are competing on who makes some tactical blunders. Didn't see Moeen Ali for the longest in the session. It was almost like we've picked Adil Rashid, so let him have a bowl because India is 6 down. It's not going to hurt us at this stage. It's a bit ridiculous, really. I mean, there's still a test match to be won. He might go back and say he's one of our sort of frontline bowlers. But you could clearly see as soon as Moeen Ali came in, there was a lot more doubts in Indian batsmen's mind. But again, a debutant and Jadeja, that's the best I've seen Jadeja bat.
Yeah.
I think that's the best Indian partnership for me in this series, really. Just how they approached this innings, and Anderson and Broad were really good in that morning session to negotiate that and then make it look really easy is how most batsmen should ideally approach. Like I said, it's a good lesson for most of our other experienced batters.
I mean, it is. We're talking about the value of the lower order, and this is the best lower order partnership India have had in the series. And I think as soon as you went off air, you were talking about it. It's not like they don't have the personnel. It's that they've not batted well enough in the lower order. This sort of resilience could have been shown more often.
Yeah, I mean, and Vihari, he's picked as a batsman, but it's still his first game. Looked quite nervy yesterday, so you didn't quite know what you're going to get from him today. But clearly, just feels at home getting that 20 odd yesterday. Just the defense was much better, left the ball. Okay, got beat. I mean, most people are going to get beat by that kind of quality bowling from Anderson and Broad. But didn't let him, didn't let that phase him at all. Even Jadeja, I haven't seen Jadeja leave as many balls.
Couple of them too close, I think.
But I mean, on length, isn't it? Yes. The balls bounced over the stumps, and you've got to say that's good judgment. And he's looked calm, which is a real good sign for India.
That too in his first innings in this series. Monty, while we must give credit to Jadeja and Vihari, and we'll talk about it because you had very good words to say about Vihari even in the pre-show, would you go with Ajit that it felt like England this morning, almost like India yesterday, just turned up expecting the last 3 wickets to fall? Some tactical errors from Joe Root?
I think They bowled beautifully. I thought Stuart Broad and both Anderson bowled really well. They got the both to swing. What was really good to see that I've actually have mentioned previously is they left the ball really well, both Jadeja and Vihari. And someone like Vihari is making his debut. I think he's really been the find of the trip, for the Indian team. He's been the real find, and I think Virat Kohli and Ravi Shastri should really show a lot of faith in this youngster because he's really applied himself in alien conditions. He's used to batting on Indian pitches, and suddenly he's leaving the ball well. He's fighting against the swinging ball. And what I was really impressed was his character. He showed a really strong character in these tough conditions, probably against the best swing bowlers in the world. And this is a brilliant find for Indian cricket team.
Yeah, I mean, if we just look back at the way he looked at ease in this session as against the jitters of yesterday, which you can understand, played it very late as against, almost grew into the innings as it went on.
Yeah, a lot calmer, having got a bit of a start yesterday. Ball's a bit softer. Even though, Anderson and Broad were at the top of the game in the morning. They beat the bat quite often. To survive that and then make it look almost easy. I think England after that like India yesterday, didn't seem to have a plan B. They just, like you said, just kept bowling after that Anderson and broad spell. And to not bowl Moeen Ali was a blunder, but Vihari just suddenly looks a different player to what we saw him yesterday. Whether it's the softer ball or maybe just the confidence of having survived yesterday evening. I'm sure it's got to do with the confidence of having survived yesterday evening, because with that amount of runs behind him in first class cricket, surely he's got something about him, and today was really good. Unfortunate to get out when he did. Pretty innocuous ball. No, I mean, held its line, but one of those balls where you can easily miss those. So, no, real good signs to start a test career.
Strong words from Monty saying he's probably the find for India on this tour. In a tour that's been dominated by batsmen not performing, I guess you're clutching on whatever promise
I
you
suppose
can
you
find.
shouldn't write anyone off after one innings or not get
too carried away.
Go over the top after one innings. It was a really good innings, and and one thing that will do is when you're still facing some of the top swing bowlers in the world. I mean, and to perform in their conditions will probably give him a lot more belief than the same thing if he had done it in India.
Explain how this session is turning out to be the session where the least seems to be happening, Monty. I mean, we've spoken of how the final session of play on the first 2 days has brought a lot of wickets. Is it just about the phase of the innings, the state of the ball?
Yeah, I think, well, the new ball's going to be due soon, and I think England are going to be looked to get these 3 wickets very quickly. So you can see that England are always in the game. They've always got so many different options, India. I think India's done brilliantly well in this session. They've only lost 1 wicket. It's been a brilliant session for India, and if the tail can just wag a little bit with Ravindra Jadeja, and he can maybe just play a bit more freedom, like Joss Buttler did, sort of a similar innings like that, then yeah, they could possibly get to 300. But it looks, it seems a little bit difficult, with the new ball coming up, and they really have to chance their arm here, and possibly, Jadeja may have to take the upper hand against the tail, and the closer they get to 300, I think then, India right in the game here. But I think this session has definitely been a huge boost, for an exciting days of cricket, because I think, like we all want to see, and I'm sure the viewers who are watching the test match right now, they all want to see an exciting day, and not one team dominating, but just sort of up and down sessions that keeps all of us, on our toes.
Yeah, including us, 3 of us. We don't want to see this test match go just one way, but we'll carry that conversation forward with Ajit and Monty on the other side of this break. Stay with us. We're building up to session number 2 of this final test match on day 3 at the Oval.
Catch the best of the England-India series on ESPN Cricinfo. Match highlights, clips, and the best moments. Download the app now for a better experience.
Welcome back to ESPN Cricinfo Match Day. Just before we went into break, Monty Panesar saying that session has obviously at least kept the interest alive, and now if India can get anywhere near 300, then we might be looking at parity. Let's assess where they need to, or what their approach should be when they come out. Now there's no Vihari, so does Jadeja continue to bat in the calm, composed way you've seen, or does he chance his arm with Ishant, Bumrah and Shami?
No, I think there's still 3 wickets left, so I don't see any reason where he has to go crazy. I think I'm sure if there's an opportunity presented, he'll take his chances. He is a natural sort of stroke maker, so he needs guys to hang around. I think Ishant's pretty good. Finally, they've managed to send Ishant ahead of Shami. I mean, as good as Shami can hit the ball, I think Ishant has more ability to sort of hang around if there is a batter at the other end. So, if these two can stitch together another partnership, they've got to try and get as sort of close to that England total as they can, because they're still 92 behind. Anything over 70 run, 75 run lead, it's always going to be difficult to come back from that unless there's an English collapse, which is quite possible.
There's a nice little opportunity for Jadeja to actually get decent overseas score. 36 tests, he's mainly a bowler in test cricket, but we've established pre-show that he's no mug with the bat, never got a test 100, you never know.
Yeah, but I think his approach was just exceptional today. I don't think, maybe he's done it before, but you can't remember instantly how well he's left the ball, how patient he's been. He's picked the right balls to rotate strike or hit them. He's got enough ability with the bat. I think he should bat higher than number 8 eventually in his career. Hopefully this is a start of something good for India overseas. I think in India he's a lot more comfortable, but overseas I think because he's 4,000 close to 5,000 runs in first class cricket and scores hundreds, so you've got to have some sort of ability. I think today he's shown he's got plenty of it. Hopefully he carries on from him.
Yeah. Now, one of Jadeja's old buddies from the last tour, Jimmy Anderson, has been fined for except for dissent that was shown on day 2 when he had an umpire, an LBW call turned down off Virat Kohli, the one that was real full, and Kohli survived just by millimeters. Monty, 15% of his match fee is what he's been docked. Can you understand, do you think, we often talk about sanctions and whatnot, whether they were appropriate for that incident, but just a quick word on the incident yesterday, taking we believe the IC said he spoke to the umpire in an aggressive manner, making too much of it or fair?
Well, when I looked at that LBW decision, even I thought it was out. It looked so plumb, it looked like it was going to hit off stump. But Dharmasena, he's obviously, one of the best umpires, and he got it absolutely right. That ball did pitch just slightly outside off stump, and it wasn't given out. It's obviously frustration for Jimmy Anderson, because in the last tour he was at will getting Virat Kohli's edge, but this time round he hasn't seemed to dismiss him once. So I'm sure Jimmy Anderson. He would love to take Virat Kohli's wicket in English conditions, but he seems to not find that edge, and I think that's just the frustration. Sort of Virat Kohli has imposed himself on Jimmy Anderson, and also Virat Kohli, he's batted beautifully in this whole series, and you can just see that how difficult it is for Jimmy to get that outside edge, and therefore he got a little bit frustrated. 15%, I don't know, is that too much, too less? What do you guys think? Do you guys he should have been charged more? I don't know. Like, what's the right amount?
It seemed like an aggressive.
Have you ever been fined for
Just
dissent?
taking the sweater, Joe Root had to get involved, or Amrasena summoned the England captain. Was it about just the frustration of getting Kohli's wicket, or that as a bowler you just want, that one's out, even if it's umpire's call?
I think it's a bit of both. I think throughout this series, I think he's beaten Kohli sort of enough times not to find that edge. We don't quite know what he said to the umpire, or whether there was any reaction or words said. Umpire would probably be the best judge of that. Considering it's only 15%, I don't think, at that moment something's happened, but fortunately nothing's been carried on. That's credit to Dharmasena, because he's not let that carry on, because you could easily go on, and there were a few incidents.
There seems to be this trend now that these 50-50 decisions will fall in favour of the superstar batsman. Ever played with a batsman like that in your time? No.
I think, nothing went Virat Kohli's way in the last trip. So maybe it's come back to him with some interest. I agree with Moni. I thought he was out. It's one of those things Hawkeye showed was millimeters. The impact was outside off stump, and that's the way it goes. On another day, when things are not going for you, the umpire will give it out and it stays out.
Being Virat Kohli has its privileges, I guess. He gets those slight margins.
Let's not start any conspiracies.
And of course not. Thank you, Ajit Agarkar and Monty Panesar. We will get your thoughts on the Tea Time show to see how close India do get to this first inning score of England. Do download the ESPN Cricinfo mobile app to stay up to date with this test, and we'll see you again for ESPN Cricinfo Match Day after the second session of play at the Oval. Bye-bye.